Hello, hi. Okay, so tonight's team call is about your weak leg and your strong leg. Now, this is quite a complicated subject. So I haven't done too much about it because I don't want to overcomplicate it because it is complicated enough to get your head around. I think the objective for this call is not necessarily for you to come out of it going, got it, 100% understand. Like, I think it does take a little bit of time for it to sink in about what it actually entails, but also it's one of those things that as you start building your business and as you start building a team, it becomes more obvious as to how it works. But I wanted this call to be more about you understanding why you want to be focusing on building a team as well as working for commission, and how that impacts your business. So I'm going to share my screen because I think visually it helps to see what it is that I'm talking about. Okay, so first of all, let's have a look at this graphic because this shows you, if you can understand that you have these two legs, right? So you have what's called your weak leg and your strong leg, but we'll get to why it's called that in a minute. At the moment, let's just call it like your left leg and your right leg. So you have two legs, your left leg and your right leg, and as coaches join your team, you'll be placing them on each of those legs as they join. So you'll put one coach on your left leg, and then when you get another coach, you'll put that on your right leg, and then you'll alternate every time a new coach joins your team. So here is an example of a diamond coach and what that means, but let's go back to basics and talk about what you need as an emerald coach. So you've got you at the top here, that's that yellow circle. This is you and this is your business. So you have a left leg, you have a right leg, and in order to be an emerald coach, you need to have one active coach on your left leg and one active coach on your right leg minimum. And then you're an emerald coach. And an emerald coach is basically the way to kickstart your business. It means you're going to start working your business for building a team and also being able to earn what's called team cycle bonuses. And we'll come to that in a minute. Prior to being an emerald coach, you are just working for commissions. And although obviously that's fantastic because it's really nice when you get to do that, building a team is how you're going to earn the bigger money further down the line. So that's how you become an emerald coach. One active coach on your left leg and one active coach on your right leg. So to be a diamond coach, this is what you're looking at when you want to think about being a diamond coach. You need 4 active coaches on your left leg and 4 active coaches on your right leg. On top of that, one of the coaches on your left leg needs to be emerald. So they need to have 2 coaches under them. And one of the coaches on your right leg needs to be emerald. So they also need to have 2 coaches under them. So what you're doing there is you're building a team, and then people on that team are also building a team. So that's where they're both emerald. So they've got coaches. They're also working the business. They're also building their own teams under you as well. So that's what a diamond coach looks like. So if you go into your back office, let's do that. Here's my back office. So you can see a graphic similar to that is just for your business. So if you go to Monitor My Business and you go to Graphical Genealogy, I mean, this is going to be my business, but you have one of these where you can see both of your legs. And so here is me at the top of my business, and then I have my left leg here and I have my right leg here, and I put my coaches as they sign up onto each of my legs. So at the very, very beginning, in order to become an emerald coach, I signed up my spouse, Steve, with his permission. So that's what you want to be doing. You 100% want to be kickstarting your business by signing up somebody whose account you can control. So obviously you would tell them that you're signing them up and that you're going to control their account, but you want it to be a spouse or a direct family member like your mom or your sister, or if you've got children who are over 18, children who are over 18, one of those kids as well, that's an option too. So you want to be doing that. And the reason you want to be doing that is because you're going to have huge income potential in the future. So you need to be thinking long term. Right now, you might be thinking, well, why do I want to be spending money on someone else's account when what benefit does that give me? I'm telling you now, it's going to give you a huge benefit further down the line, and I will sort of touch on why. But in order to keep Steve active, I just buy my Energize under him. So I get my Shakeology under me, and to maintain my active status, and then to maintain Steve's active coach status, I get my Energize under him, and it means that I also then get money back from my Energize, because it's like he's buying it as a coach of mine, so I get a little bit of money back because of his purchase, even though it's for me. I don't know if that makes sense, but anyway. So yes, so there's me at the top. Here's Steve, so that I can build his business, and this is going to guarantee that we have an epic income in our future as I build both of our businesses, because any income that Steve earns will filter up into my business, and I'll earn what's called team cycle bonuses, and we'll chat a bit more about cycle bonuses in a minute, but that just is going to be a huge benefit to me further on down the line, so it's well worth doing that, and also it will help you get to Emerald, so that's always a win. So I'm at the top of this graphic. Actually, before we talk about that, so before we talk about that, you can see here that I have my left leg here, and I've got Steve there, there's my sister, so I'm putting coaches onto my left leg. I also have my right leg, and I've got Charlie there, I've got my mum, but then I've also got coaches here that have nothing to do with my business, like as in I didn't sign them up, they're not my sponsored coaches, I don't even recognize these names, I don't know who they are. So I know that some of you may have seen that you've got coaches under you that you think, well, hang on, I didn't sign up this person, I don't know who that is. That means that that is your strong leg. If you're seeing names there that you don't know who they are, then this is your strong leg. So my right leg is my strong leg, and I've got coaches there that I don't know who they are. And that is because, okay, let's think of a good way to explain this. So this is because, okay, here's me at the top of my business, but above that is my coach, Ashley, right? So I signed up under her, and she put me onto one of her legs, okay? So let's say she's up here and she's put me onto her right leg. So here I am, but on top of that, she's obviously still adding coaches onto her right leg. So those coaches end up being added underneath me onto that leg. So she's adding people in. Also, those coaches that she's adding, they're also adding coaches. So if they add coaches onto their strong leg, they're also being put under me. So they get filtered down all the way down here. If I then add another coach of mine, they will appear down here, but they'll appear underneath all of these other coaches that Ashley or other people on her team have also been adding. And this is why it's my strong leg, because I've got all these coaches on there that are working the business or buying Shakeology or buying Energize or whatever. So I'll explain again in a minute why that makes any kind of difference whatsoever. But just so you understand why it's your strong leg is because you've got a ton of people adding other coaches onto that leg, whereas your weak leg, you're the only one adding coaches there. So you would recognize all of those names as people that you have sponsored as coaches. Does that make sense? I feel like I'm confusing you guys a little bit. Anyway, like I said, I don't expect you to come out of this call understanding everything that I'm saying, just that you have an understanding of how the business structure works and how the compensation plan works, because I mean, the compensation plan is ridiculous. Like, it's amazing. So, okay. So that's a little bit about your weak leg and your strong leg. And I hope that is slightly clear. So here's another way to look at it and to talk a little bit more about team cycle bonuses and what that means. So if I go into my main homepage and then I click on volume, so here, you can see here, left leg and right leg. So that is basically that same graphic that we were just looking at. This is my weak leg here, where Steve and my sister were, you can see them on that graphic. And here is my right leg, where it was Charlie and my mum, and then a ton of other coaches, okay? So that's my right leg. So as you can see here, I've got some like numbers going on there that you're like, well, what do those mean? Okay, so let's see. Every time coaches on either side of my leg, like on either leg, order anything at all, buy anything at all, so maybe they buy Shakeology, Energize, early access to something, anything at all, I get what's called volume points for that. So these are the volume points. So someone on my left leg has bought something, I'm going to get volume points for whatever it is that they've bought, and that gets added into these numbers here. So Shakeology, I think, is something like 50 points. So every time someone buys Shakeology on my weak leg, I get 50 points added into these numbers. Now, this isn't money, so I'm not due £150 or £200,000, but these are volume points. So The same thing happens on my right leg, but obviously it's not just my coaches purchasing things on my right leg, it's all of those coaches that have been added under there that are purchasing things, and I get volume points for their stuff as well. So that's why, again, this is referred to as my strong leg, because it's really freaking strong in terms of the amount of stuff, like the amount of points that I earn in comparison to my weak leg. So every time coaches on my leg order things like Shakeology, I get these bonus points. And this here is my current volume from the coaches on my weak leg, which are just my coaches. And this is the volume on my strong leg, which is all of those coaches that we saw. So let's see, how do the points work? Well, each week you get what's called a team cycle bonus. And in order to do that, you have to have 100 points on your weak leg and 200 points on your strong leg minimum. So this week, I will cycle once, right? Because you can take 100 points out of my weak leg, and you can easily take 200 points out of my strong leg. So when I cycle, they'll take 100 points out of here, and I'll be left with 50 points left. So I'll be left with 50 points on my weak leg, and I'll be left with a ton of points on my strong leg, and they'll both be banked, ready for when I can cycle again. So in order to cycle again, someone else on my weak leg needs to buy something, and these points need to go back up to a minimum of 100. So I'll have 50 banked in there. If someone then orders Shakeology next week, I'll be back at 100 again, and I can cycle again because they can take another 100 points. So these are always the points are always banked. So if you can't cycle, if I end up with 90 points here next week and I can't get a cycle bonus out of that because it needs to be 100 on my weak leg and 200 on my strong leg, if I can't cycle out of that, they'll just roll those 90 points over till the next week. And then if someone buys something during that week, then it will take me to say 130 points, and I can cycle again, and then they'll take out 100 and I'll have 30 left over. Does that make sort of sense? I hope so. I hope I'm explaining this slightly well. So team cycle bonuses are $14 for an Emerald coach and $18 if you're a Diamond coach per cycle. So down the line, when you've got a very, very sizable team and they are also growing, they're below you also growing a sizable team, and perhaps someone in that team is also growing a sizable team. You've got all these coaches underneath you and they're all buying things, and all that volume is being banked into here. You can cycle over and over and over and over again. Like there is no limit to the amount of times you can cycle in 1 week. So you'd be a Diamond coach by then, because you've got this massive team. So you'd be getting $18 for every single cycle in that week. So if you cycled 100 times, it would be $18 times 100. So, that's a lot of money. So when I posted Ashley's income a couple of weeks ago, sure, she's probably making a ton of money off of commissions as well, but she is making a sizable income just off of all of this volume that she's accumulating through the coaches on her legs, who also have coaches, who also have coaches, who also have coaches. And every time any of them buy anything, she gets that team cycle bonus. So I'm hoping then you can see how you grow this business into sort of the epic business that gives you the financial freedom and the time freedom and all of those kinds of things. By having these cycle bonuses, this is what they call beach money. So it's that kind of thing where you lie on a beach and you just make money by doing nothing, or you're in bed and you wake up in the morning and you've made £100,000, but you didn't actually do anything because you've created such an epic downline empire that it's all creating this money for you, and you don't really have to work for it anymore. And that's how you leave a legacy for your entire family and live the life of your dreams. So I'm hoping that makes sense. I'm hoping that I haven't sort of scared you into going, what is she talking about? I'm never going to understand this, because you don't necessarily need to understand it right now. But what you do need to understand is that in order to build an epic business, you want to be thinking about growing a team of coaches underneath you, and sharing with them how this business can absolutely change their life in the same way that I'm hoping I'm sharing with you in a really confusing way, maybe. But if you do have questions, like I said, please don't feel like you need to come out of this having like a 100% clear idea of what it is that I just said. I literally just want you to see that you can create something really amazing here. And if you do have any questions, then please just put them in the comments, or shoot me a message about it and we can chat it through. And if you'd like me to make anything a little bit clearer, I can do a live maybe in the team page as well. So yeah, I'm hoping that you got something out of that and it wasn't just a ton of confusion, because it can be really complicated to try and understand it. So please don't worry if you didn't. But yes, anyway, so like I said, questions, if you've got them, just let me know and we can chat everything through. All right, have a good evening, everyone. Bye.